HAFAK Radio.
HAFAK Radio. You're listening to HAFAK Radio.
The latest hits, oldest, greatest memories, latest gist, news, sports, information, all on HAFAK Radio. Who plays the biggest sound? We do. We are HAFAK Radio, 247 around the world, non-stop. This is HAFAK Radio, the radio for the society.
A show to be different, discussing a variety of topics in line with the people's choice. This is Assorted with Eustace on HAFAK Online Radio. Hello everyone, good evening and welcome to HAFAK Online Radio. My name is Eustace. I'm your host on Assorted with Eustace, where we discuss a variety of topics, so to speak, an assortment of topics on different issues as they come up. At our last discussion, we had a conversation with Mr. Odegbaro on masturbation and the ills or the evils that come attached with masturbation. And we also realized the fact that this topic, though a major evil in the society, is not something that is largely discussed about in public spaces. But we Mr. Odegbaro, together with us, went deep into the issue of masturbation and how it affects people even way longer than they plan to stop. And he also shared some insight on how to break out of the chains of masturbation, how to come out of it, and how that it really is not something that you can come out of because you want to come out of. But there is something much deeper than that. So to listen to that conversation, you can simply just check our website, Conversations Assorted with Eustace, and the conversation with Mr. Odegbaro. Just download it and you'll find it on there on HAFAK Online Radio. Right, today we'll be having a discussion on managing personal finance, and I'll be sharing tips today on how to manage your personal finance, things that you should consider towards ensuring that you do not waste your money, or towards ensuring that your finances are handled better. Right, so I'll be sharing basic tips on managing your personal finance. As we know on Assorted with Eustace, we discuss various things as there is a need to consider. So today we'll be discussing managing personal finance. But before I go into it, we'll go for a break very shortly, and we'll be right back. When we come back, we'll begin with our discussion. Don't go anywhere, please. Welcome back. This is still HAFAK Online Radio. Don't forget to follow us. We are on Instagram at HAFAK Online Radio. That's HAFAK Online Radio. And we're also on Twitter at HAFAK Online FM. Right, this is Assorted with Eustace. I still remain Eustace. And I said we're going to be having a discussion on managing personal finance. Right, so first off, on managing personal finance, one of the first things that we need to note is that we should set your priorities right. The first tip on managing personal finance is set your priorities right. And a little insight on this really. For example, I'll give an example. There was some time ago, I was considering getting a car. Right? I was considering getting a car a while ago, and I felt the need for me to get a car was so urgent because coupled with age and then coupled with the fact that it seems like the right thing to do now, work and all that stuff, getting to work easily and all that. So I convinced myself that it really was not even because of the fact that a lot of folks around me of my age grade already had that, but particularly because I felt it was the right thing to do at the time, work and all that, and every other thing that comes with getting a car. But then after a while, I asked myself, really, is it that I need a car or that I want a car? Now, the point is, if I had a lot of money to get a car and not feel the brunt of getting that car, fine. I could have gone ahead and gotten the car as well. But if I had to burden myself a lot to get a car that I want and not a car that I need, then that is not setting my priorities right. And that's exactly what we mean by setting your priorities right in managing your personal finance. Ask yourself, is this a priority at this time? Now, it may be a priority later, but at that time, what you intend to spend money on, is it a priority at that particular time? Another example, you may be considering the fact that people around me I'm still staying with my parents, people around me are moving out and all that, and you want to get an apartment. Ask yourself, is that a priority at the time? Are you getting an apartment because you feel like you want to move out, or because you feel like it is necessary that you move out? It may be necessary that you move out, for example, because where you work is very far from where you live normally, and you see a need to live closer to where you work. That's perfectly understandable. That's a priority at the time to help your health and your mental condition, not having to face traffic every day back and forth and all that. But the question you should be asking yourself is this something I need to do because it's a priority, or something I want to do? So first tip, managing your personal finance. For everything you want to do, for everything you want to get, for everything you want to spend money on, ask yourself, is this a priority? If it's not a priority, set your priorities right. And you would know really if it's a priority. How would you know? How you would know is by asking yourself, would I survive at this time, at this particular time? Would I survive without it? If you would, then it's not a priority. Right. And then another thing on managing personal finance, another tip on how to manage your personal finance is this: have a budget. Always have a budget. This can never be overemphasized. Always have a budget. I began to learn the habit of budget making right before I started working. So even before I started having a steady income, I already inculcated that habit of setting a budget and trying not to go beyond that budget. Now, it's a different thing to have a budget, to prepare a budget, and it's another thing entirely to work with that budget. So you may set a budget in your mind or you write it down, yet when the going gets tough, you say, oh well, whatever, and you go beyond the budget. But to manage your personal finance effectively, you need to have a budget that you prepare and stick to it. Have a budget that you prepare and stick to it. And one of the major reasons why most weddings in Nigeria, for example, go overboard, one of the major reasons why some men even say they are not ready to get married now, is because the weddings are usually, particularly in Nigeria, not planned with a budget. So you find that it gets to the point where you've spent a lot of money and yet there is still a lot to be done. A whole lot to be done. Because at the time of spending that lot of money, you did not fix down a limit as to how far you can go. So, and this does not just apply to planning events. It applies to everything you want to do. Whenever money comes in, set a budget. Okay, this is for investments. This is for parties. This is for a new shoe. This is for a new phone. This is for miscellaneous. This is for traveling expenses. This is for transport. All those stuff. Outline everything to the barest minimum. To the barest minimum, even as much as little as you outlining the amounts that you plan to use to relax. because indeed it is necessary that you relax. So set a budget and work with a budget, and you will find out that your finances will be better managed. You don't just spend because things come up. Now, I must mention on this setting a budget, indeed, you must know that even when you set a budget, sometimes things may come up. You cannot always plan for everything. Man proposes, God disposes. Now, even when those things come up, you would have most likely prepared, even though you did not prepare for that particular thing to come up, you'd have most likely prepared for that eventuality that something comes up. What do I mean? If in setting a budget, it's usually advisable that you set a budget for miscellaneous things that may come up, right? So if anything comes up, then miscellaneous covers it. And if it's possible, if it so happens that what comes up is something that requires more money than you budgeted for in your miscellaneous, then fine, restructure and move on. But the point is, always be ready for the rainy day. Always be ready for the rainy day, even by your budgets. And if it so happens that the rainy day is heavier than your budgets, fine, restructure and move on. Don't dwell on it. Right. So another tip on managing personal finance is avoid debts. Avoid debts except they are absolutely necessary. Now, if your debt is not absolutely necessary, you don't need it. You really do not need it. I learned very, very early in life to not have debts. Like, if I ever have a debt, until I've settled that debt, I'm never at peace. We find these days that some people prefer, when they have money, they prefer to use the money that they have to do something else rather than to settle the debts that they owe people. But it shouldn't be so. It should be that you have money, your first concern is settling the debt that you have before doing whatever you even intend to do in the first place. So avoid debts. Bad debts, what they do is they constantly put a strain on your income, such that the more you are earning, the more you are paying out. You are earning money and you are paying it out as it comes. Even if you don't pay it out immediately, you eventually would have to pay it out, and to get to the point where your debts are more than your income. At that point, so whatever you do, avoid the inculcation of debts, except it is completely necessary. Like I said, for example, when I was talking on having a budget and planning for the miscellaneous, it may happen that you may not plan for something that comes up, and at that event you may need to inculcate a budget, a debt rather. Maybe you need to take a loan from someone just to come out of that heavy situation, and you inculcate a budget. That may happen, right? And that is a situation where it may be absolutely necessary to have a budget. But when that happens, promptly settle it. Promptly settle the budget, the debt, when you have money. Which leads me to my next point on my next tip on managing personal finance, which is promptly settle your bills. Promptly settle your bills or your debts. Promptly settle your bills or your debts. I said you should avoid debts except they are absolutely necessary. Now, if you get debts where they are absolutely necessary, ensure that you promptly settle it, and not just debts but your bills. And these bills go as little as things like your DSTV subscription, lights, water, little things. Even your internet subscription. It should be something that you planned in your budget, that I'm going to use this amount for internet subscription. And once you get money, once income comes in, you settle this immediately so that you don't have to worry about all those things. Now, what it helps you to do is it helps you to plan ahead. Right? When you settle your bills promptly, it helps you to plan ahead, because now you know, okay, now this is now the money that I have to spend. I have settled all my expenses. I have settled all my bills. Now I can now factor in the fact that this is the amount I have to spend. But if you are keeping the bills, and spending the money instead, you will spend the money to the point where the amount you need to pay for bills is way more than what you have left of your income. So, for example, you have 50,000 as your income, and once the money comes in, you spend 30k on something that you have planned to do before. These bills will not go away. That's something you must always remind yourself.